So this is my experience of Porto. I did do a lot of walking around there, again the up and down a bit, found the train station, got on the bus and went out to the seaside. I did actually randomly decide to meet a gentleman I connected with online there. We had a meal, which was cool. There are no photos and there is no video evidence of this. It will just forever be maintained in my memory of dating is not for me. But anyway, it was an interesting day and we were able to, I met him at the seaside and walk around, which was kind of nice, and just have that experience. It was also good, I suppose, in a way to actually arrange to meet up with someone, because I'm often just kind of on my own, which I quite like actually, but that's why sometimes I jump a tour, or if there's someone you catch up with and like, hey, do you want to hang out for the day? Well, you do, because it's kind of fun. But it also meant I went out, like I had a reason to go out. I wouldn't just go, do I really want to go? So I went out there. So, and it was a nice day, and it was a nice experience of Porto. So there's a few, it had harbours, it has waterfronts, it has, it's kind of this, development wise, I'd say it's very much in between what I experienced in Villamore and what I experienced everywhere else in Portugal. So the buildings seem bigger, but then there's the older buildings that are the more historical. And I think Porto has that. And it has less just with the focus on the touristy beach life. It's more on, there's more to it. There's a lot more developed areas of the shops, but then there's still the little pokey kind of supermarkets and you're trying to find shops and things. So it's this strange experience. You could, I think, get on a bit of a cable car tour, which I didn't get around to doing. And I think the day I was out, the weather wasn't great for that. So I went, whereas the seaside day, the weather was beautiful. So, but yeah, this is Porto. Enjoy. I think Viendi means for sale. This is 6 minutes from my hotel. This is kind of one of the little streets in Porto. Looks like these two little things just kind of didn't survive. And obviously there's lots of construction going on next door. So I come down a side street and then I've got to work out where I am, because this is where it's going to. So I came out of this little side street that looks like it goes to nowhere to come out upon a mecca of activity, beauty, and by the looks of it, harbour and water, which is where I'm going to catch up with someone who I don't know. Okay. This is exceptionally beautiful. Those colours are just magnificent.
Yes, the colours are great.
So I decided to go down to, I think it's a river or a lake in a main part of Porto. The day was a little bit off, obviously, but the housing's a mix of better developed here, but also the traditional balconies with the metal work. I think there must have been a bit of a festival going on, but so that's from two different directions, looking down the street and then looking back up. Everything again tends to be on hills. Maybe my expectation of Portugal was wrong. It's not flat in any sense, but this is kind of looking up at one of the buildings. Look, I think these are quite beautiful in their own way. And old world. This building was gorgeous, and I think it's significant tourism-wise, but this behind me would have been the water, and this is one of the older buildings that was probably to do with the maritime era in Porto. And this is looking over the river in the middle. There was a way to walk across it, but it was the weather did turn, so I didn't stick around for too long. But it was pretty and interesting. It was a kind of a big area, a lot of options, but more like a harbour than a marina or a waterfront of any sort. So I found myself out on another day and came across this square that was quite beautiful. I did do a bus trip out to the coast. So this was one of the things I saw, and also obviously a closer look. I kind of like this historical architecture that you come across quite a bit across Europe, and Portugal did have some beautiful examples of it, probably from a bygone era. I'm sure they're symbolic. It was a beautiful day, so you get a bit of a sense of the outdoor and the beauty of the place, particularly when the weather shows up, which is significant. Okay, so I'm a little obsessed by the palm trees, and trees are cool, so I'm sticking with my story on that one, and it's quite beautiful against the blue day. So this was down kind of at the waterfront. Again, I assume this is like a music hall. There is a poster up there, but quite an awesome example of some of the architecture that's there. And this is the waterfront area that I'd gone on the seaside bus trip to. I managed to obviously grab it without the fishermen in it, but there were fishermen all over the place. These are their rods, waiting for them to return in the hope of fish. And that's another look, because basically boats could come in and out, but it'd be more kind of industrial boats rather than being kind of pleasure cruises. It was that kind of a harbour, and there was a beach nearby. So hopefully you had some insight into Porto, and maybe see if it's for you to go visit. It does have quite a few things going for it, and I think by this stage I had determined that Portugal wasn't the right choice for me. But Porto wasn't bad. I think it had quite a lot of things going for it. So again, this relates to kind of what you're looking for, what your expectations are. I will say a high point was that I was really comfortable in the accommodation, so it made it easy to go do things, get my work done, just function in general. But as I'm getting older, the hills just really wear me down, because it wasn't a natural fit as well to kind of jump off transport and you're close by. And it wasn't easy to work it out. So I was like, oh, where am I going? Do I know where I'm going? And I remember asking some women on the bus, like, are we there yet? Or just saying, hi, do you speak in English? Da-da-da. And so it became, it kind of gets more stressful when you're not having that fun of, and also I was meeting someone, so I had to be there at a certain time. So, yeah, but Porto was interesting. If I was going to go to Portugal, I'm glad I saw Porto. I'm glad I had the experience to know one way or the other for myself. Sharing is caring.